Hello everybody, welcome back to the Star Watch segment, which is a new segment I'm doing on my channel on Wednesdays. Thank you so much for being here. This is for the week of November 10th, starting on Wednesday, which of course we have Wednesday because it's ruled by Mercury, which is intrinsically connected with astrology. So we're using Mercury Day here to really communicate the energies and to learn about what we can expect for the week to come. Now remember, we're building up to an eclipse, which I'm going to keep talking about even after the eclipse. So keep in mind that the energy is building this week, and it's a really fantastic time to just enable the change to swallow you whole, okay? I know your soul is aching for change in at least one area of your life, whether it's personal development, whether it's financials, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a situation with your children or your friends. I don't care what area of your life this is hitting, but it is time to just fully embrace that desire to create the change, okay? Let's go ahead and change the camera view so you guys can see the chart. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this chart. Now, I went over this last week, but for those of you who are new, let me just briefly overview the setup that we have going on here just so you can follow along a little bit better. So I'm using Astrology software, by the way, for those of you who are curious. Great software available online. You can download it at the Astrology website. Now, I've decided to do sunrise charts, which means that we're going to start each chart with the sun as it is rising up over the horizon. Okay, so the ascendant and the sun placement are the same point. As the reminder that when we are in a season, so for now Scorpio season, that when the sun comes up, so is the Scorpio constellation. I mean, we're using Western astrology placements here, right? Modern Western astrology. So using those calculations, Scorpio sun coming up at the time of sunrise. So it's kind of like creating a sunrise natal chart every single day. So I'm going to be using that kind of as a natal chart. It's not technically the case, but, and we're going to use those house placements as well, okay? And speak to those as house placements. It's like the birth chart of the day, so to speak. And we're also using decans, the decan system, which takes the 30 degrees of each zodiac signs and subdivides it into 3 sets of 10 degrees. Each 10 degrees is ruled by a zodiac sign or the ruling planet of each zodiac sign of that element. So for example, with Scorpio, we start off with Scorpio, therefore Pluto rules the first decan. Then we move to Pisces, which is Neptune rulership. And then we move to Cancer, which is the moon. And that's kind of the same like for Sag. We've got Jupiter for Sag, Aries, Mars, Leo, Sun, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to be talking a lot about the decan rulerships here. So let's get started. I have to focus on daily habits, okay? Because we're officially at this point now where Uranus here is in the 6th house. And again, using the sunrise chart as though it were a natal chart with these particular house placements, Uranus is here to help us revolutionize our daily habits and our schedules and the way we spend our time and our choices to maximize our life. This was especially important because we had the new moon in Scorpio directly opposite from Uranus. And now we have Mars-Neptune conjunction on the 10th as of this morning. Mars-Neptune conjunction, both of these planets making their way into an opposition with Uranus as well. This Uranus opposition is the catalyst for change, and not to mention that Scorpio itself is a planet of change as well. I think Scorpio, and because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, Scorpio and Aquarius are very similar in this regard. This is where they really thrive. They may go about it in different ways, where Scorpio is more of internal change and Aquarius is more like societal change. But either way, as above, so below, it kind of rings true both ways, or with both, as above or below. This is below season, all right? This is internal, ego, self, higher self, spirit, true essence of self being revolutionized. We know you have goals, all right? Life it's hard to not have goals. It's hard to not have things that you want. Even the yogis living up in the Himalayan mountains in caves still want air. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's impossible to escape desire. So this is about acknowledging your desires, embracing your desire, and not shying away from it, and not being afraid of what it might mean, or not being afraid that you can't have it, but just blatantly saying, like, yes, I want this. I want a buttload of money. I want the love of my life. I want to have children. I want to be married. I want to have great friends. You know, whatever your goals are here, and just sinking into it, truly indulging in it. And Uranus is over here saying, okay, great. Well, now that you've admitted what you want, that's the first step, to admit what you want. Now that you've admitted what you want, you can actually go about changing the behaviors of your daily life in order to have that thing. So if you want to have a buttload of cash, well, you get to change your daily habits now to be focusing on your daily financial habits, how you spend, or rather, more specifically, how you invest and how you allocate your resources into a way that can help you grow. So please do not overlook the importance of the seemingly small actions that you can take. It's about really dedicating and really committing yourself to something that you may have shied away from in the past because you thought for whatever reason that you couldn't have it, all right? We had to really confront our limiting beliefs through 2020 with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction and the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. We had to come into our truth so that through 2021, we can say, all right, because this is true, because this is who I really am, because this is what I really want, because this is what I really believe, I get to, not have to, but I get to make X, Y, and Z changes so that these things can become a reality. And Neptune and Mercury, I said that last week, Mercury and Mars here, and I know this is just happening today, but you've probably been feeling it for the past week as this was building up to Mars. You've probably been feeling like I'm really motivated to do this. I'm really motivated to make this change. And as Mercury moves into the Neptune decan this week, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself on the charts here, but let's just roll with this for a second. As Neptune makes its way, again, I said it again, as Mercury makes his way into the Neptune decan, and he comes into that 12 degree, 13 degree mark in that opposition with Uranus, this is the radical changes on a small scale that have huge impact in the years to come. Please do not underestimate the power of your small decisions this week and next week and the week after. And then as we make our way through Sagittarius season, there is going to be even more kind of like, oh yeah, like I can really get used to this. I can get used to these behaviors. I can get used to this way of life because it feels good. It feels like I'm actually really attracting things to me because I've attuned. And that's the whole point is attunement. So again, I got a little ahead on the charts, but let's kind of go back here. And I want to focus on the moon as well. In the next couple of days, the sun will be moving into the moon decan. So I want to be focusing on her. Now, as of today, the 10th, she's sort of sandwiched here between Pluto and Saturn. And the drive to set forth new structures, which was a big point of focus last week. It was about the structure of your life, getting things set up. That's why daily habits matter. She is here, and I think she's driven. I actually like the moon in Aquarius. I know Aquarius is both Saturn-ruled and Uranus-ruled. Okay, I know that. She's not super happy with Saturn energy. However, she's also deeply feminine, which means she is deeply mutable and changeable. She has the capacity to switch gears very quickly. She's not linear. She's not straight line the way hyper masculine planets are like Mars and Saturn. She's not like so directed like that. She's more fluid. She's more free. And in Aquarius energy, her freedom, the expression of her freedom can be truly felt. But I think for the next couple of years, every time she comes through Aquarius, she's going to hit up against Saturn here. And when she hits up against Saturn, it's her coming into a realization that through the structure of her life is how she can create emotional security to feel safe, to have that non-linear freedom that she so craves. And it's how these two energies can really work together, how emotional security and material security work together, and how they truly bond. And this is not about limiting beliefs. This is not about keeping yourself trapped. It's not about making commitments that you're going to regret later. It's about how you set things up. You know, like let's use a financial example, because with the build up to the eclipse in Taurus, money is going to be a big focus for many of us. And focusing on our future financial growth, future gains, and what we do for money, our income, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like setting up the structure of dedicating, you know, an X number of dollars to an investment account for dollar cost averaging purposes, right? Whether it's investments on the S&P or the Dow or crypto markets or wherever you put money, or the structure of investing or putting money away to purchase real estate, right? Because it's like that particular structure can make you feel more safe and secure. And the more safe and secure you can feel, the more free you feel to go out and create something else. So please do not take the moon through Aquarius energies lightly, because this is really the driving force of setting your life up in a different way that is much more beneficial for you and your future growth. Okay, there's a lot of future focus here with Aquarius. We want to look ahead. We don't just want to look ahead for the week. We want to look ahead for our lives, but understanding that our lives are made up of individual weeks. Therefore, the impact of a week has long-term effects. Okay, so let's fast forward the clock here just a little bit. Boom, there we go. Let's go as the sun enters now into the moon decan on Friday the 12th. This moon decan here is an opportunity for healing. We have officially Mercury now entering into the Neptunian decan of Scorpio as well, kind of as a continuance of that optimism, not to mention that is going to be in a trine, the next couple of days, a trine with the moon through Pisces and the moon-Neptune conjunction. So moon and Neptune coming into a trine with, well, actually all of these, as it makes its way through the full degree set of Pisces, it's going to come into a trine with Mars and Mercury and the sun. And there's this beautiful Neptune-Plutonic connection, because look, guys, Neptune is actually in the Plutonic decan. Mercury is now in the Neptune decan. The sun was just there. So Neptune, Pluto, rulership of Scorpio. So there's this Neptune-Pluto thing. And Pluto destroys, pulls things apart, transforms, forces change. And Neptune offers the optimism to believe that it is possible, to believe that we can, to believe that we can have it, to believe that it actually can be ours, to believe that this future is possible. Some people push away their optimism because they feel guilty for believing that, or they feel like it is so far-fetched that they don't even let themselves indulge in a belief. We know that belief is, right? Placebo effect. We know that we are our own placebo, if I can borrow from Joe Dispenza, right? We are our own placebo. Belief is the vehicle for healing. It is the vehicle for manifestation. If you don't believe, it is very difficult to actually attain that which you hope to attain. It begins with belief, because you can sit on your desk and write your affirmations all you want. But if you are negating that energetically as you are writing it, it's probably not going to come to fruition. Now, if you are writing it and not believing it, and you are noticing that, like if you're trying to affirm that you are worthy of having a lot of money or having the love of your life, and you're writing it and you are rejecting it energetically, but you're aware, that means you can push through. That means you can power through and come to a place where you can embrace that belief. All right, because you're going deep within yourself with this Plutonic rulership here. Pluto is like, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. Please get to the root of where this came from. Get to that place within your life, within your past life, within your whatever your root system. Get to that place and rip up that root, because it is not going to be acceptable if you really want to get to be where you say you want to get to be. Neptune, he's doing beautiful things right now. He's offering possibility because he's limitless. You can ask for outlandish things so big you never thought you would even have the guts to ask for. Okay, Mercury is coming through here and he gets inspired. And he gets revolutionized by Uranus. He's also coming into a square with Saturn and Jupiter as well as he makes his way through. Technically this week he'll be in a square with Saturn. And it's, again, the small mercurial daily habits for the sake of the overall big scale structure. Moon coming through Pisces offers you, I kind of am feeling a cleansing quality here. Please, 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 November 12th, November 13th, and even I'll say November 15th, November 12th through the 15th. Let's go backwards here. As the moon comes forward, connects with Neptune and connects with Chiron, I call these, the past couple of years, I've been calling this the camel hump, because it can really send us on this really weird emotional thing. Like if you don't handle Neptunian or Chiron energy very well, it can feel like you're getting dunked down and then back up to breathe and then pulled back down and then back up to breathe. And you can feel like you're, very roller coastery. If you're prone to heightened states of emotion, if you have strong moon placement in your natal chart, this is probably a time every single month where you kind of feel a little bit off, or where you feel a little disjointed or a little disconnected. Maybe even a little bit sad for some of you who are dealing with deeper healing issues. The sadness is not a bad thing, and it's definitely not something to shy away from. The sadness is symptomatic. And you might not really understand consciously of where is this really coming from? Why am I experiencing the imposter syndrome? Why am I not feeling this belief that Jane has been talking about? Because this is going to be a few days where you are challenged to really feel without logical comprehension, but to genuinely feel what you need to feel for the sake of healing. So I experience personally a lot of imposter syndrome with Chiron transits. That's just me though. You may have your own Chiron experience. I'll use my personal stuff as just a visual for the sake of visualization. So when you feel the imposter syndrome, or fill in your own emotion here, when you feel that, feel it. When you feel unworthy, when you feel a sense of lack of value, because remember, this moon is building up to an eclipse on the 19th at the 27th degree of Taurus. Taurus has a lot to do with sense of self-value. Sense of self-value and how it translates into the more material world. People who lack a lot of sense of self-worth, they may do one of two things. They may push money away, because in our society, money has somehow been equated with worth. You may push it away, or you may hoard it, gather it, collect it, and use it to try to fill this void. So when you go through this Moon Neptune, Moon Chiron transit through the 12th through the 15th, it might be the 13th through the 15th. Give yourself 3 or 4 days to just really be in tune with what you're feeling. Because let's not forget that when the moon comes into a conjunction with Jupiter, let me go backwards here. Here's the moon coming into a conjunction with Jupiter tomorrow on the 11th. This is going to be in a week or a week square, but still a square with the eclipse position, which means this is quarter moon energy. Quarter moons also have a lot of power to them because this is where the original manifestation from the new moon starts to like really build momentum. Quarter moons are fantastic. If you're someone who was born with a quarter moon, you probably are someone who is highly driven for success. In maybe, it might not be financial success, but you are driven for success because you have this like building, let's go, because you're on that path toward realization and toward actualization of the full moon quality. So you may start feeling that drive. Let's go, let's sign the paperwork, let's make the commitment, let's do this, let's make this happen, let's make these changes, boom, 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 boom. And you may be feeling so great. And then a couple days later, the 13th, Moon Neptune, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I'm just feeling a little bit weird or a little tired, maybe not super motivated. We've got strong Neptune with Mercury here. Mars is about to enter into the Mercury decan as well. And we have the sun in the moon. Now, the moon decan is very healing. So take this opportunity, utilize this strong emphasis on moon intuition, moon healing, and that connection with our roots and really where we came from in our subconscious minds, to understand the symptoms that are being displayed. Okay, to understand the symptoms that you are expelling that may come in imposter syndrome, sadness, fear, hesitation, resistance. Okay, whatever you are exhibiting, there's a cause from that. So take a moment and pause, feel what you need to feel, because Mercury opposite of Uranus can offer some incredible insights for you. As the moon hits Chiron, boom, there it is on the 15th. Hopefully on the 15th, the day of the 15th, the moon is now separating from Chiron. So you'll probably feel more Aryan-like as the moon enters into the sun decan of Aries. Now we know that the sun is exalted in Aries. So this is a really powerful decan for Aries transit. So this is an opportunity to pick yourself back up and say, you know what? I may have had a weird couple of days. It may have felt strange. Now it might not be strange for all of you. Some of you may just continue being productive. Not everyone is always super affected by Neptune and Chiron. I just know how they affect me. But a lot of people feel empowered. A lot of people feel really creative during these times as well. And that's great because you can be creative and channel from higher sources something that can, again, future focus, can propel you into a more successful future. Now the moon comes into the sun decan and then it moves into the Jupiter decan. So I suspect the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, even the moon comes into her exaltation point in Taurus, right? We love a moon in Taurus. She's going to be coming into that opposition with Mars and Mercury, and to really help make sense of the past week and to help make sense of the ultimate trajectory of where this is really going. I actually think this particular week, because of the eclipse, all right, this particular week is going to be a week that you look back on, right? It's going to be a week you look back on. You're going to look back on these decisions and you're going to say, like, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I pulled the trigger on that. I'm so glad I committed to that. I signed that paperwork. I'm so glad I paid that person to do that thing, because it's going to snowball so much forward. Remember, momentum is the word of the week. Momentum that you get going right now is just going to keep going. And that's a really beautiful thing. Actually, let me just go. Now, this is technically the end of the week. Oh, actually, let's pay attention to Venus really quick too. Venus, she's coming into her shadow phase at the very end of the week. And as we make our way into eclipse season, into the actual day of the eclipse, which is the 19th, she is going to be entering into her particular shadow phase degree for her retrograde in Capricorn. Interesting that Taurus is ruled by Venus and the eclipse is happening in the Saturn decan, and Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is entering into her own decan, Venus, the Taurus decan of Capricorn, which is Saturn-ruled. Strong Venus-Saturn connections here. All right, when we couple these two together, there are infinite possibilities, again, to set up the structure or to make the commitments for long-term evolution, for long-term future growth, financially, romantically, and in any other place that Venus is represented in your own individual charts. She is the driving force for 2020. We will continue to talk about her. And as she makes her way closer and closer to Pluto, we get to seriously reevaluate the value that we've placed on things. We get to seriously reevaluate the value we've placed on money, the value we have placed on romantic relationships. If there is anything negative going on there at all, this Venus retrograde will ensure that we come into the realization of what that issue is so that we can resolve it and continue on so that we can have healthy financial futures and healthy relationships, which ultimately stems from a healthy sense of self-worth, healthy self-respect. All right? Because when you think of Venus as a goddess, she has strong boundaries. She knows what she brings to the table. She knows why people worship her, right? She knows what makes her unique, and she embodies the essence of who she is so well without trying to change. That's the beautiful thing about archetypes is they don't try to change themselves. They just are what they are. And Venus is going to help us to say, well, this is who I am at my core, with all the masks removed, with all of the artificial masks and the superficial nonsense and the superficial definitions and identity and whatever. We get to strip all of that away when she comes in contact with Pluto, and we get to say, this is my authentic self. This is my real light that is coming through. There is nothing artificial. There is nothing superficial about this at all. And we get an opportunity to learn how to own it, to learn how to embody it, and to learn how to enjoy the success that comes from that. Okay? Success is a big part of Scorpio season, and success can be defined in so many different ways. A lot of people equate success with financial success. Scorpio is a money sign. Taurus is a money sign. So yes, that's a big part of it. But success can also be just to have a nice home and a family, right? It can be to have a dog. It can be, whatever your version of success is, you get to fill in the gaps. You get to decide what that symbolizes for you. Now, actually, let me go forward just a couple of days because I wanted to see how this particular moon, this particular eclipse is happening right on the descendant. Now I'm skipping ahead to next week, so I'll probably repeat this next week as well. But this moon placement right on the descendant here has kind of a rising and a setting type of quality. The setting of this, the western horizon quality of this eclipse, again, it's not technically going to be on the western horizon for everybody at that time. Obviously, this is like a sunrise type of chart, but as the daily sunrise chart snapshot happening on the descendant, technically it's 27 degrees, but I just have this going forward day to day. So this is technically just a little bit after the eclipse, but you get the idea. Now, the fact that this is happening exactly here, which will be the case for all the eclipses if I continue to use this chart, by the way, but this is going to be the setting of all the Venus type stuff. And here she is officially in her shadow phase. The allowing yourself to go deep into the underworld, which is what the setting of the western horizon represents, because once planets go out over that western horizon, right, it goes to the other side of the earth that we can't see. It goes to the underworld. It goes to the shadow side. It goes to the darker elements. for the sake of learning, but it's all internal learning. It cannot be externalized. This is where truth really rises from within. This is where truth really comes from an inspired, deeper place rather than a book or a person whose speech you watched on YouTube or, some kind of mentor that's telling you things. This is information that can only be expelled through your own self-awareness. That is it. That is the only place. So being connected with yourself during an eclipse, being connected with your moment, connected with your emotion, your intuition, connected with your own inspiration as well, is going to be so critical for maximizing the potential of this eclipse. Now, again, last week I said this, I'm going to repeat myself now, and I will do so next week as well. A lot of people say do not do any manifestations during eclipses. Especially with this one being in the Saturnian decan here. We've got Scorpio, which is often associated with darker power. I highly disagree with this outlook on manifestations. The energy is so potent, but it is a 6 month to 6 month cycle. So this is not about short-term things. This is about long-term projections. This is an excellent time for you to sit down and really think about, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And know that these types of things are going to turn over not month to month, which we normally do manifestations on new moon or whatever, and it's a month-to-month cycle. This is 6 months to 6 month cycle. So every 6 months, you get to really push this chariot along. You get to build this dream in bigger kinds of ways. Eclipse season is a time to ask for the really big stuff, the big stuff that we are being asked to discover. So don't sell yourself short by shutting yourself down creatively. Especially not with, Mercury having just coming through Neptune, and now Mars is in the Neptune decan of Scorpio. We still have Neptune here and Pluto. I mean, don't sell yourself short just because people online tell you that it's a dark time to be doing manifestations for yourself. There may be stuff going on politically, there may be stuff going on globally in terms of your environment, family, or whatever, but this is a highly personalized experience where you get to focus on you. So don't sell yourself short. That's just my own 2 cents. A lot of people will disagree with that, and that's okay. But I've been using eclipse manifestations regardless of all the negative advice out there, and I feel like I've been able to get everything that I've wanted with very minimal effort because I just decided to go against the grain a little bit, and I just decided to give it a shot, and I'm telling you it works, okay? So don't sell yourself short. And then next week we have the sun coming into Sagittarius. So it's going to be a fun week. All right. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. You guys know I love you. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an amazing week. Talk to you soon.